Looks like it's the last bottle of water, so I gotta go shopping. Feels bad, man. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, we continue on into Group E. This is the second preliminary match of the series. Another TVP coming at you. Well, I say another TVP, it's a different group entirely. But regardless of that, the winner of this will play Mana, the loser will play Demaga. And we'll see how this goes. Kicking it off the top right, playing for Against All Authority. It's going to be the blue Protoss DnS. Is on the bottom left. I actually don't know if he's on a team right now. I think he left Euronics, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's just DeMusliM. Let me go Google that real quick. DeMusliM Wikipedia. I feel bad. I love watching DeMusliM play, but we haven't seen him enough to yeah, I think he's teamless at the moment. Yeah. Alright, we'll go off Wikipedia and pretend that knows what's best. Let's make sure the music on. Pro quick scout out of DNS to see what's going on. First thing you're looking for is to make sure all the buildings are in base. Keep in mind there's actually been a considerable amount of proxy reapers lately on the channel that we've seen. I'm not sure what the current surge of them's for, considering they never strike me as too effective. But a lot of people are willing to go for them. In a map like this, I don't blame you either. So DeMusliM not doing that, DNS confirming that, decides to walk away with the probe. He might come back with some pylon action himself once the mothership core starts coming out, but that's a question to be determined. I'm being told I need to watch or drink some tap water. So here's the thing, right? I got no problem drinking tap water. I fucking love tap water. I live in Canada, where our tap water in British Columbia is pristine, okay? I only use water bottles for convenience, and it's the sake of like just being able to grab a bottle out of the fridge instead of like grabbing a cup, turning the tap on, letting it run for a second so the water gets nice and cold, then, you know, swishing it around the cup and filling it up, then bringing it to my room and having it open. And I'm making it seem like a bigger deal than it is, but really it's just simple convenience is the only reason I go with water bottles. Like at this point, like I'm not a douchebag who only drinks water bottles because they taste better or anything like that. It's just simple convenience, and I am lazy. I will say, actually, I noticed that pretty hardcore. Whenever I go to the States, and I guess it's not so bad at some hotels, but just generally speaking, like even at restaurants, you can always just taste the quality difference in water. And again, that might just be me being a douchebag from Canada at that point. But I don't like a lot of tap water in the States. I can drink tap water at home all day. I grew up, by the way, like, so, cool story, Rifkin mode coming up. Some of you won't care about this, but some of you will be able to relate to that feeling when you're young and you're poor and you don't have snacks or nothing, so you got to drink out of the goddamn, like, fucking hose to fill your tummy up, okay? Some of us have been there, some of us haven't, but for those of you who have been, my brothers, you know that feel. So I grew up on tap water and hose water. The Adepts do take out both of these Hellions, by the way. A little bit sad for DeMusliM because the second Hellion should have at least been able to get the scout off, but barely gets up there just in the nick of time with the Adepts to stop that DNS, that is. DNS, by the way, is a player who is playing for the Underdogs League of O Gaming, for those who have been keeping track of that. We got to cast some of his games. I think it was not the most recent last season, but the season prior. Refill your water bottle. No, that's the point of, like, if I was willing to refill my water bottle, I would just refill a cup of fucking water. Like I said, it's already filled up and good to go for me, okay? It's it's whatever, guys. It's whatever. Widowmine does manage to catch the Oracle. I was actually looking at this one. I didn't realize one had been placed over to the left, so nice reach over there. Is this one now on cooldown? Both of them on cooldown. SCVs might go down for this. DeMusliM following this up with unconventional Banshee play, but I do want to point out there's no detection readily and available just yet. The first observer's popping out soon, so maybe with an asterisk, those will get some damage done. Okay, this is awkward, but the SCVs will clean up the Adepts. It's not the most efficient way to do it, but it gets the job done. Stalls out the barracks a little bit there, but extra barracks are on the way, of course. Oh, no pylon to overcharge. Feels all kinds of bad, man. He does stealth the Banshee, but as we can see clearly revealed, not the big deal. As it does take on the Sentry and can even kite the Stalker around a little bit if it wants. Not two Stalkers, but one for certain. Might just chip away at the pylon. Might also just fly north and try and escape the clutches of his opponent. It's very unfortunate for DeMusliM that a Stargate was placed down behind this out of DNS. The Phoenixes are such a hard counter to Banshees. Banshees being light units get torn to shreds by Phoenix. So kind of feels sad, kind of feels bad. He's best off probably just trying to suicide for the last probe. Doesn't quite get it. Indecisiveness. Awkwardness. This Banshee, of course, is caught as DNS is ready for it. DeMusliM really doesn't get too many kills for this. I like the idea of Cloak Banshees, though. This is actually something that is so different and, dare I say, out of the norm, that it had a chance to catch DNS really badly off guard, but DNS wasn't slacking, and he, of course, had plenty of detection and everything good to go. Oh, dude, TLO, thank you. That's you know what? I couldn't describe what I was trying to think of there, but yeah, tap water in the U.S. tastes a bit weird. It is a little chlorine-y almost. It feels. I can't. It's weird because it's for me like okay. TLO in chat, for those who can't see chat, you're watching the VOD of this later or something. Says that it tastes like it's out of the pool, and I can't say that it tastes like it's out of the pool in terms of like I feel like I drank pool water, but it's that flavor of like you got out of the pool, you spit water out of your mouth, and like you just get that aftertaste. I can't describe it better than that, I think, but that's how I feel U.S. tap water tastes whenever I drink it. So I'm not a fan of like when we go to California, especially hotel tap water. Ugh. I actually end up going to the lobby half the time to grab water, paying too much money for it. But yo, come to Canada for the good tap water. That's all I'm saying, all right? British Columbia, we're a gosh darn rainforest. You just leave a cup out in the open and you're good to go. It's actually literally raining right now as I look outside my window. But anyways, Widowmine's going to burrow the base of these destructible rocks. I'm not sure if DeMusliM will be able to successfully bait a fight down here or not. The Marines should be able to take care of the Marauders in terms of like keeping them alive from the Phoenix, but yeah, that main army out of DNS is actually kind of scary too. That's a lot of adepts. The Widowmines spread out, do pop off on one of the Phoenix, not too bad. Second one gets a double kill. DeMusliM dancing around very nicely through these Widowmines. We got more Widowmines coming. He's actually not ceased production for this. Normally we see people swap over at this point, but I love seeing more Widowmines. We got Liberators on deck too, but DeMusliM not going to overstay his welcome. Decides to withdraw from the situation, meet up with the rest of his army. Up 70, supply to 63. Both players have weapon upgrades on their sides. I gotta say, an engagement would be, I feel, fairly even. Although Adepts can be pretty nice and quickly tip the scales of battle if all those Marines are on the front lines instead of the Marauders soaking the hits. Let's see here. Right side, there's a lot of pylons, but not really a lot to defend with. If DeMusliM pushes into the natural right now, he'd actually get some nice positioning, but hesitant for a brief moment. Lets DNS posture himself and try and get in a way to try and fight this out. I like the Liberator. It's an interesting choice. Just one's not going to do too much. I think he made two, though. There should be more coming behind this. Overcharges do pretty much nothing as the Marauders tear through those pylons like nobody's business, though. I've been a little bit spoiled playing co-op lately, by the way. You can get an upgrade to let Nova's Liberators attack buildings. 130 damage a shot. Feels good, man. Unfortunately, not the case here. Now the Woodmine takes out the last remaining Phoenix, so no more nuisance over there. He's going to dance around the force field. Still a little bit annoying. Sorry, I said the last Phoenix. Looks like there is one more. Excuse me. Observer just sitting right above the army. A scan would take care of that, but DeMusliM's probably not looking for that at the moment. Just kind of chipping away at the assimilators. Hell, just stripping gas away from DNS is a pretty big deal. Widowmines don't get the pop-off. Nice Graviton beam at the last second from that Phoenix. It dies, but it keeps the Widowmine from firing. Looks like DNS will hold on to this, and DeMusliM's forced to retreat away from his position up on the high ground. He does maintain an army lead while this goes on, and he's moving on for Liberator range. I actually love this, by the way. We don't see this enough. Liberator range makes a huge, huge difference when it comes to trying to take on those Liberators, but put a pin in that for now because a lot of it has to do with the Marauders that are still here on this side of the field. DeMusliM loads up 3 Widowmines, and looks like he's just going to go for a pure drop around the back side of this mineral line. However, he has had an observer on his army for a majority of this game, and I'm not sure if DNS actually saw that before it floated away. But that medevac, if it actually gets those Widowmines off, could be hugely, hugely, hugely scary. Not really a lot to say though, coming at the back end of that. DnS really doesn't have any production. The fact that his upgrades have stalled out is a little bit worrisome. He's stuck on just simply 1-1. Now kicks off +2 weapons. You're going to want more weapon upgrades, of course, because that's how you'll take down the Liberators. There's a lot of instances where we'll see TVP happen, and barely, just barely, will there not be enough stalkers to take out that last 1 or 2 Liberator shots. And that's the difference. That's the world of difference some upgrades can make. However, this is not a fight DeMusliM wants to really take. He's stimming away from it on purpose. Adepts do finish their transfer. He's going to kite away and get a couple of hits, but I like the disengaged meet up with the Liberators. If he stood his ground to fight, he may have taken out some of the Stalkers, but he would have lost so much more for it. The Adept transfer just been used to, I guess, look around for the time being. I'm going to take a 4th. Where does he take this, though, is the real question. Looks like he's going northwards. Okay. So why build it all the way down here? Oh, Liquid Snoot has been saving esports for 24 months. Snoot! Big love, man. Good watch you play earlier, and I'm excited to see you tomorrow. I wish you luck in that double elimination bracket for tomorrow. That's going to be a long day. I hope you're ready for a lot of StarCraft. I know I am. Liberators decide to leapfrog forward. One of them goes down, but the rest are pretty well covered. Hello, Adept. I guess this has still been left as a command zone because he wants to make it into a planetary. However, it's not going to work if he lets it just die. Feels bad, man. We watched this thing grow. We watched him fly all the way across the map and make his journey across America. Only to all be for naught. Feels so bad, man. Feels so sad, man. So I need to just start queuing up like really sad music when things like that happen. Alright, well, pushing him back up the stairs once more, or the ramp, I guess. They're not really stairs. I will say one of the greatest assets Terran have on Galactic Process are all of these chokes. Setting up for Widow Mines, setting up for Liberators. There's about a million different ways you can abuse the map as far as forcing engagements. But also, just catching DnS a little bit off guard as the Colossus joined the army is not too bad either. But that's a lot of Liberators for DeMusliM, and I do want to point out he does have Liberator range researched. So this shouldn't be too bad of a fight for him. Honestly, a walk in the park if he was paying attention! But the Liberators aren't set up, the Widow Mines die for nothing, and this ends up being a little bit more than a little bit. This was a very awkward fight in the middle of the map because DeMusliM catches DnS off guard, right? Then DnS immediately catches DeMusliM off guard. Like, what's up with that? Regardless, Widow Mines are burrowed and back at home for DnS. You know, he's just trying to keep his economy going best he can, I suppose. A lot of his income getting cut off right now. Same for DeMusliM too. Like, losing that base was a pretty big deal. Mineral patches are mined out. People have been muling these. Some people have been muling these. Other side of the map just simply mined out because, you know, Chrono Boost made a lot of probes really early. Mining on it for a long time. Of course, there's graphs we can look at. See that DnS has, yeah, as predicted, been winning the income war. But the army supply and the army counts, you can see like where these fights went well, where they went bad for each of the players. This is where DnS had that really harsh fight early on. But, yeah, army supply is kind of evening out. Really, I mean, 111 supply for DeMusliM is not too bad. I am curious to see how we deal with the Tempest, though. We do have Vikings coming out, but man, I'm so jaded about Vikings right now. He'll need them for both the Tempest as well as the Colossus, but the problem with Vikings is you need a lot of them. You can't just make 6 and be happy. You really do need like 12 or 13, and at that point you are borderline wasting money. Too many minerals and too many gas going into things that can only shoot up and not really land. But okay, scan goes down to keep an eye on the army. DeMusliM's had a pretty good eye on what's been going on. Those 3 Widow Mines, looking to 1 unload over here maybe? No, he's going for the base. It's brand new. The Tempest gets a shot off. These probes have got to get pulled. They don't, so say goodnight to your probe line, DnS. 16 workers. By the way, those Widow Mines went off in almost the exactly perfect way to get all 16 on minerals. Like, that could not have gone better for DeMusliM. In fact, he might actually unload one over here, so what am I saying? Of course it can get better. It kills even more afterwards. But only if he burrows it. So never mind. I jinxed it. Caster Curse. Caster Curse! Alright, unit, type, and composition. 4 Colossus. That's a lot of them. 6 Tempest. Honestly, not that many. But there's also not a lot of Vikings out. DeMusliM's still building this up. He's only on 9. He's been bleeding out 1 or 2 here and there. Every time these things take those big shots, you got to worry about losing another one. It would be so nice to just stim the Marines under this, but that's where those Colossus are really important. They will zone out the bio from getting too close. Holy shit. Holy shit! Is that a Fart Falcon? Fart Falcon, let me ask you something, man. Can I interest you in this car? I'd like to sell it to you, but it's made of real, authentic eagle. It's the Thunder Cougar Falcon Bird. Sounds like the perfect car for a Fart Falcon. Thank you so much for subscribing, man. You awesome. For those who don't know, Fart Falcon is a great mod on other channels, so if you see him in chat, be careful, he might ban you. No, I'm just kidding. He's a really nice guy. Got to meet him at TwitchCon. Good times. More Vikings on the way, and of course, DeMusliM go for this air upgrade. Is going to try and make the Vikings a little more effective. But as I said earlier, you really need a lot of them, and that's where their dependency becomes questionable. Because really, if you're on like 15 Vikings and they're not making anything but stalkers, you're going to have a really bad day. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Ghost Academy finally coming up. I love this. The necessity for ghosts hasn't really been here in terms of like, okay, there's going to be a Templar, I need to EMP them, I'm going to die, AoE, blah, 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 blah. But really, an EMP is always good in just generically any situation. However, that's the same role the Widowmines have been performing up to this point. I see this one guy in chat getting really mad that DeMusliM hasn't made ghosts, and I'm sure DeMusliM wishes he could have afforded to make them earlier. Keep in mind, they're kind of expensive units, and he's got not really a big bank going for him. However, Widowmines have been getting a lot of splash damage and taking the shields off the army. He hasn't needed those EMPs that much. Now, with a much more controlled and longer range EMP that is less likely to get picked off, that'll be really nice to have. And maybe that's what he's waiting for to engage. But he's bleeding out units once again. He's down to almost no Liberators. The Vikings can't just simply go in here. The Stalkers will pick them off. And as we can see, Tempest, Colossus, they've got so much bloody health. So back it away from the fight on both sides of this. The Muslims got 11 Vikings still standing, but no Liberators anymore. Ghost comes out and maybe EMP will be cool, but it's going to be necessary now. Not just for taking the shields off of these units, but also because storms are coming into effect. Thank you to the Bert338 for the 21... Whoa! Throw a 21-month resub. Dude, you're old enough to drink. We should go get some drinks. Unless you don't live in America, and it's like Canada, where you could have had drinks at 19. In which case, what have you been waiting so long for, man? Also, drinks are lame. And expensive. The end. A couple of Adepts sneak by, but it's only really 2. Nothing too major. I'm worried for DeMusliM, though. For a lot of different reasons, but all of which revolves around his income. You look at DNS's current bank, and he's spending a lot of that in upgrades right now, so it's not looking too impressive. But that is seriously like 10 Adepts coming in. A big warping of Zealots to charge to the front lines. There's quite a bit of money going for him, whereas DeMusliM's going to probably have to float that main command center over to this 5th at some point. And if he doesn't soon, I actually fear that he'll be too far behind on one base economy. His income looks great right now because Mule's just spiked up, but you'll see that fall off here in a moment. 3 Marauder hit squad is questionable, but hey, it baits out a Storm and kills a Probe, kills a Templar. Baits out another Storm, kills another Templar. I mean, that was a really cost-effective use of 3 Marauders that you don't really see too often, I guess. Some bunkers coming down, going to be shelter from the storm, maybe. Tempest baiting out a fight because the Muslim wasn't on hold position initially, so he's got to pull back. And the posturing going on right now is kind of crazy. DeMusliM can't move into this, and at the same time, DNS can only really use the range of his Tempest to get anything done. I actually really like the cannons coming down. While we don't have it happen too often, nukes are certainly an option. However, ghosts sneaking by everything, you just got to EMPing the army if you're not looking for a second, can be devastating. Having a couple cannons down guarantees that won't happen, at least not very easily. Back in the really long drawn-out TVPs, Koss versus Hearthstone, back on like Deadwing and stuff, we would see tons of cannons, and they were so cool. And I mean, same things apply here. Hey, thank you to Adults7 for the Twitch Prime sub. Thanks for being awesome and keep being awesome. Storm's going to be so painful for these Vikings. I don't think we're going to see a lot of spreading. We're going to just see dives for EMPs instead. Still 2 Storms to the back side of this, but EMP hits the whole army, and this is where the Vikings have got to do or die. And DeMusliM sitting in a Storm, so it might just be die. GG's. DNS will take game number 1. And that was a hell of a long game number 1. So I'm going to quickly throw us out to commercials. I'll see you guys soon. Alright guys, we're back. Thank you for watching that break. It is more of an excuse to save my voice than it is anything else. So thank you. Thank you for giving me a few seconds of respite there. But already interesting things happening. Talk more in a moment as we get through these introductions. At the bottom right, oops, sorry, the score is wrong, and it is a best of 3. There we go. He's up 1 game. It's DnS. Bonjour. Buongiorno. Bottom left side, we got DeMusliM, and he's proxying in all kinds of weird ways. So first off, he puts the depot block down. This gives him control of the middle of the map, and it also means DnS can't easily scout through it. Then he follows up with a proxy, but he does it in such a weird location that is, oh my god, not going to get scouted. I was almost worried that was too close, but maybe this is DeMusliM practicing it. He did a lot of this shit back for the WCS qualifiers 2 years ago. He would practice these proxy builds on Frost and hide them in the absolute perfect positions. But as DnS skirts past and goes for a scouting towards the main, DeMusliM will get away with his barracks completing. Now the problem I have with this is what comes up next. We've actually been seeing a lot of people follow this up with Cyclones through a factory not proxied. I think I've just proxy everything, man. If you're going to dedicate to it, go ham. Get that starport over there, build the Widow Mine straight up outside your opponent's base. I don't know. DeMusliM doesn't have quite the gas to do anything just yet as that first Reaper's going to pop. And of course, speed is of the essence. This Reaper will be a little bit distracted by the Zealot. However, it should be able to nab at least 3 to 4 probe kills. And if that's the case, then DeMusliM can certainly follow up with a little bit more damage beyond that. But meanwhile, back at home, just mules, builds depots. He's feeling just dandy. Nothing out of DnS currently threatening him. I also really like that he's left the depot down. This kind of screws with DnS's AI because he doesn't know the depot's there. So if he walks across the map, DeMusliM can raise the depot at the last second and waste a lot of time essentially from his opponent. But anyways, despite this, Reaper, he almost gets caught twice now. Grenades coming down. DeMusliM getting a little bit desperate and a little bit bloodthirsty for kills is costing him time with the Reaper. Now the Mothership Core is out, and this Reaper got no kills. This really should have killed a few workers. I don't think he's out of the game for not getting worker kills, but dang, that was supposed to be some freebies. On one hand, nicely done out of DnS to pump out the Zealot. On the other, though, DeMusliM, like, finger wag, where are those kills? However, I will state the best Terran player that we all know, Byun, regularly flops with his Reaper opening and doesn't work so good. So if DeMusliM follows in his footsteps, then clearly he's destined to win the game. Spot up here on the top right. I mean, DnS still hasn't scouted this, by the way. He doesn't know it's a proxy. I think he's looking for the proxy up north. It's almost like a bit of a weird double bluff, though, because of the fact that this was almost revealed, so DeMuslim's kind of hiding in plain sight, so to speak. The Reaper in the main did see the Robo. It did not see the Robo, so he doesn't really know what's following this up. However, his current setup with siege tanks instead of cyclones and medevacs to sort of shuffle these things around, I think DeMusliM will be just fine. I would really, if this ends up being a bunker on the front line too, even better. It really is like a why the hell not situation, but that tank's going to help zone out the pylon. It's a slow leapfrog forward with only 1 tank, but when that second tank comes out, that's going to be some very serious damage. So bunker coming up on the low ground. There's going to be an overcharge almost immediately, I would imagine, as DnS does have almost 3 overcharges available. Oh, it's out of range, though. Feels bad, dude. I was going to say, can a medevac out-heal a Mothership Core for damage? And it looks like the answer is yes. If the medevac were to inch forward a little bit, he'd have vision on the high ground to shoot the pylon down. There we go. It's kind of cool. Marines covering on the right side, SCVs on the left ready to repair. DeMusliM should have pretty much his, no pun intended, bases covered here. Anything that gets low will get repaired. Anything that gets damaged will get healed. And as stated before, 2 tanks do a lot more than 1 when it comes to tearing down these buildings. Now, there is an Immortal in this pack, but the Stalkers are what's getting focused down. If the Stalkers all disappeared, nothing could have shot that medevac, but it got picked out of the sky, so it's a little unfortunate. Mothership Core also getting low. DeMusliM could have gone for the kill there without risking too much, but pulls back a little too soon. Of course, losing one of his tanks so far, and this is getting really scary because DeMuslim's got a lot of army on the front lines, but again, it's questionable whether it's effective army or not. He's going to get the Immortal. He's going to get the Mothership Core. GG's get called, and DeMusliM ties up the series now 1-1. Dang, that was good. That was really good at DeMusliM. I like a proxy when done correctly. That positioning, that was either super lucky out of DeMusliM or incredibly well practiced. I don't know which. I liked it though. But now we go to game number 3, and what's it gonna be? That's Frost. Okay, they're gonna get Frost up for this. Interesting. So once again, after this, we got the winners match versus Mana. We get the losers match versus Damaga. Then the grand finals of the group. There are meant to be 4 groups cast today, guys, but I still don't have like that second wind or even my first wind kicking in. So I might. Oh, I want to go all the way. I'm so tired though. Fuck. If we could just wake up, that'd be great. Like, that's the thing. I'm not tired because I'm exhausted from like casting so hard and so long. It's just like I never woke up in the first place. That kind of hurt. But okay, countdown's begun. Let's hop into the game. All right, for map number 2. Nope, excuse me, map number 3. That just went so fast I forgot that it's tied up 1-1. Spawning in the top left side of Frost, we got the red Protoss player against all authorities, DnS. And in the bottom right, currently teamless, the blue Terran player, DeMusliM. Folks are asking about Zombie Grub once again, and will she be joining us on the cast later? The answer is unlikely. Zombie Grub was actually here earlier, so if you guys don't know, this is the called second and a half group I'm casting. We did all of one group, we cast the tail end of another group, and now this brand new group. So still a lot of games ahead of us, and I don't know what Zombie Grub's schedule looks like. I know that she's somewhere important, and I'm not sure if it's shit. I asked her earlier, but I forgot if she cared if I told you guys, so I'm just going to not tell you guys out of respect. But the point is, she's somewhere important that she needs to be today. So this was something we got invited to very last minute. We couldn't really plan around, so it is what it is. Doing what I can to bring you guys the coverage. Hopefully you're enjoying it. I know that it's a different flavor when you get a solo cast on BaseTradeTV, whether it be me or Zombie Grub. I am stoked, though, that every time I'm visiting Reddit between these games, we're seeing a lot of people posting about some of the cool stuff regarding Homestory Cup and TaKe's in general. And I guess I would like to just take a moment during the openings here to talk about nothing to sell out for us, guys. This is all TaKe's. If you guys donate or subscribe to BaseTradeTV, yeah, we're keeping all the money because we're so greedy. But if you donate or subscribe to TaKe's today specifically, half of your subscription or half of your donation will go towards increasing the prize pool for the players. I believe they started the prize pool for this tournament at $500, and it has since grown to a little over $850. If someone is watching both and could give me an update so I can update everyone else, that would be fantastic. But it's great to see that the players are getting some more money. And again, I imagine you're going to see more donations tomorrow on the round of 16 for TaKe's. That's probably going to see a little bit more of those prize pools grow, because when we do Matcherino and other crowdfunding for our tournaments, it's usually as we get closer to the end of it that we start seeing like, oh, my favorite player's playing, I'm definitely going to donate now. But for those that can't and don't and won't, by all means, I just hope you enjoy the show, and I think TaKe's probably echoes that sentiment. But DeMusliM going to be swapping around, going for Hellions. This is kind of cool. Now, the last time we did this in Game 1, it got shut down pretty easily. It, frankly, didn't accomplish anything. It didn't even get scouting done. Feels bad, man. But if you can get 2 Hellions to rack up 4 probe kills, which is a pretty easy task for 2 Hellions, super worth it. Then they get scouting, even better. And still, at the end of the day, the cost of 2 Hellions is cheaper than scanning Incident Muling. Jupace wants to know what group is this. Has Snoot played yet? This is Group C, and this is Group E, and unfortunately Snoot has already played. He was one of the first people we cast today, and he absolutely dominated his group. First place without a sweat. Oh, gonna run in, look for some kills. Not getting a ton and sacrificing a lot for this. No scouting from it either. Ooh, DeMusliM. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Unfortunate for him, but a great hold out of DnS because he does start a Dark Shrine and really didn't want this scouted. Tyrell in chat says, once I get Prime, I'll sub because you're Canadian. Where's this rookie Canada? Yeah. Canada pride, baby. I'm really sad, by the way. I live on, so for those who don't know, I live on the west coast of BC, and I am absolutely just appalled at how hard it is to get anything esports going over here. UBC, the University of British Columbia, which is a pretty big university, by the way, had at a time like a StarCraft squad and an esports division, and they were really snooty and tooty because when I applied to try and help them out, they didn't know who BaseTradeTV was, and at the time we were smaller, granted, but there's nothing really going on over here, and I wish I could make something happen, but there's no players that live in BC. The StarCraft scene here just doesn't exist in the first place. I feel sad, man. I kind of want to go back to Toronto just because, like, boom, you got like several players all within like 3-hour flight. Easy peasy, no problem. I really miss Toronto. I really liked that month we lived in Toronto last year. I would go back if I could. But not worth it unless it's for something a little more permanent, I guess. Anyways, Cloak Banshee, a little unconventional, again, out of DeMusliM, but is once again deflected out of DnS. Pretty quick observer, good positioning. It's not going to accomplish too much. Dom is saying that Zombiegrub's in Korea getting sparkling water. Yo, Zombiegrub likes sparkling water. I don't know why people like sparkling water. I think it's super nasty. Oh, that turret gets shut down. That's gonna really suck. He does actually get one up in the natural base, so he's at least got a way to keep his SCVs alive, but he's gonna lose stim for it. Oh no, DnS really got away with a lot through these DTs, and that warp prism's still not dead, so he might warp in even more. Every add-on being targeted right now. There are a couple of scans ready. Wouldn't mind takes one out. What, did he just deal with all three of those almost simultaneously? Yo, did you guys ever watch Breaking Bad? I'm gonna spoiler alert the shit out of this, because if you haven't seen Breaking Bad by now, I'm sorry, you should have seen Breaking Bad by now. But this is when, like, they set up to kill all the people in the jail at the same time? Holy shit, DeMusliM is Walter White. This is where, if you've got a Rift Conspiracy emoticon in chat, I would recommend dropping one of those. But no, really, he set that up really well. The Banshee targeting the right side, the Woodmine hitting the one that he had initially shot. And of course, DnS picking up the third one to save it, but still, it would have died. That's kind of cool. Alright, so what does DnS do off the back end of it? We've seen DeMusliM. We know what he's doing. He's trying to get on track with the production. Losing stim was devastating, by the way, so it's still not even done. And +1's finished up. So that really shows you how desynced the timing on that is. DnS takes the third base, but he's also just building more gateways for the time being. So we don't have a Templar Archives coming out. We don't have a Robo Facility. No, excuse me, Robo Bay, as I always mix those up. So just kind of sticking on gateway tech for the time being, which I'm not sure is a great thing, but you know, Marauders are pretty darn cool. That's another thing too, I guess, with all the tech labs getting picked off. DeMusliM can't do more than 2 Marauders at a time right now. I guess not that before a third you don't really want 4 Marauder production, you can't really afford it, but still, it just sucks losing the tech labs the way you did. Those DTs. Nasty things DTs can be. Woodmine's proving to be a nuisance once again for DnS. I think for DeMusliM on Galactic Process, for example, they were certainly cool and good and annoying, but fell off once we got to that really late game. For the Banshees. Shouts to DeMusliM for taking care of his units. He knows how to treat a girl right. Yeah. Because Banshees are girl pilots. There's no euphemism there, guys. Come on, get your head out of the gutter. Well, here comes the attack, and I don't actually think DeMusliM's capable of defending this. Unless he gets the Observers picked off, in which case then the Banshees might reign supreme with their cloak, but as good as their damage is, there's still a lot of anti-air. In fact, if there weren't any, there's a few less stalkers, maybe the Banshees do a little bit more. But as we can see, there's no observer. There's no detection, and the Banshees are kind of just going ham. That being said, Widowmine's also getting some shots off, but new observer comes to the front lines. Now that detection's going to be there. Liberators are not going to stand. DeMusliM actually ends up taking a really good defensive fight out of this, despite the fact that he lost 15 SCVs and the command center's burning. I mean, this is still not a great game, and I think he might still lose this, actually, depending on how well this warp-in does. But this was a really good defense. I thought this was going to be a little bit more of a wipe, but DeMusliM is holding on. Keep in mind, this is still a preliminary match, and DeMusliM will not be out of the group if he loses here and now, but yeah, might be better off for it. I mean, it would mean the difference of fighting Demaga versus DeMusliM, which maybe is a better matchup for him. I'm not sure. Either way, both players with similar army supplies, DeMusliM with the upgrade superiority, and of course a couple of these Widowmines here and there. Picks off yet another observer. Command center really needs to be repaired though, DeMusliM. If this thing burns, I'm going to be so sad. Okay, he's finally got an SCV trying to repair it. Scans on the new observers. There's just too many of them to snipe at this point, so it's really about taking a fight with the army. If he wants to catch them, he does try and get a couple shots there with the Marauders, but there's just not enough to really bully through this. The problem with all the Adepts warping in too is they can certainly take hits for a while. So unless those Widowmines get some nice shots off and help with the splash damage, there's just no way to really aim move into this. And now DnS with a 60 supply lead about to transfer Adepts on top of this. Widowmines got picked off, and DeMusliM in the corner of his base. It's on his last few legs here. Literally. They're dying. Goodbye, boys. SCVs get pulled out of desperation, but GG gets called in. It looks like DnS will end up taking the series 2-1. But the order of matches is going to be winners match, losers match, finals. So it should be DnS versus Mana in a PvP up next, I do believe. This will take a few minutes because they got to do vetoes and host map and all that good stuff. So I'm going to just sit here and try not to fall asleep. I very well may foolishly recline in my chair all the way. In fact, I'm definitely going to do that. Oh, I love DX Racers.